Good morning, listeners. And yes, I am sure, like everyone else, we are all abuzz with firstly, the budget that was tabled yesterday for the third time. And of course, the meeting between Ramaphosa and Trump that we all have our opinions on, and we'll listen to the dissecting of it by the experts and the analysts, and so on and so forth, and we shall wait for the results, the fallout thereof. That said, it is Thursday, it is the end of the week, it is that time of the week and that time of the day when we really appreciate you listening to us, and in this case, listening to me, and to what I hope is insightful and perhaps helps you to navigate your life and life's difficulties a little bit better. So today I'm going to talk about tough days. We all have them. They show up with monotonous regularity, just those days when things aren't going well and you're battling a bit. And of course they will keep showing up. They are not going to go away. So what have I learned about tough days? Now, this is not just what I have personally learned in experience, but also from what my reading and my investigating and my field of interest has made me realize. So first of all, I want to say to listeners that we all know, or ought to know, that everything is made of energy. The table, the chair, the food we eat, everything is made up of energy. And as those of us who did science at school know that although a chair may seem solid, under microscopic examination, there's movement. Things are made out of molecules. Molecules are made up of smaller particles called atoms, and they are the fundamental building blocks of matter. And atoms are, of course, composed of subatomic particles called protons, neurons, and electrons. And whilst I don't want to overwhelm you with all that so-called scientific terminology, what it means, these are just tiny, tiny microscopic particles that are always moving. They are never still. It's constant movement. Everything in the universe is made of energy, and that includes you. So, having said that, it then stands to reason that your thoughts are made of energy. And now the interesting thing about energy is it cannot be destroyed. It can only be altered. So, solids can become liquids, and liquids can become a gas if we supply or apply sufficient energy. If you take a block of ice and you put it in a pot on the stove, you turn the stove on, you're applying energy, it becomes water. And if you continue to apply energy, it will become water vapor. It will turn into a gas because sufficient energy, heat is energy, has been applied. Now, if we extrapolate this principle, which we all know is scientific fact, we don't have to debate that. If we extrapolate a bit further, it stands to reason that our thoughts are energy. Okay? So you think a thought, that's energy, because it's an electromagnetic impulse. Just like your heart gives an electric impulse that circulates the blood around the body. It's all energy. And now this thought that you have just had cannot be destroyed, can it? But it can be changed. It can be altered. Just like the solid becomes a liquid, becomes a gas, or if you remove energy, it goes back to being a liquid. And if you remove more energy, it will go back to being a solid, an ice block. So it follows that our thoughts cannot be destroyed, but they can be altered, because energy can be altered. Take this one step further, and you have to agree with me that your thoughts are creative, because it's energy, and energy creates. Hence, I quote from Mike Dooley, those of you who know Mike Dooley, the famous best-selling international author, and his equally famous expression that says, thoughts become things, choose the good ones. And we all know, I think each and every one of us have had the experience where you think of someone and they phone you or they contact you or you bump into them. Or you think of something and my word, there it shows up, or something happens that is connected to that thought you had. So let's take that and draw on Dr. Joe Dispenza, who does a lot of research, scientific research with universities and their science departments on emotions and behavior and how we create our personal reality. And this is really where I'm going, so stick with me. So our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our behavior. So let's say I'm having an angry thought, I'm cross with someone, so now I'm feeling angry, and now my behavior is going to exhibit that anger, not so. So that has created, that thought, where it started, has created my personal reality, which is I'm angry, I'm in a mood, and I'm not going to be nice to you. That is my personal reality at that moment. So if you stay with me, let's look at this a little bit further. And if we take it backwards, then let's say you know someone who tends to be negative, who tends to be pessimistic, who's always complaining about whatever, the potholes, the wind, the rain, the heat, the humidity, the budget, the petrol price, whatever is happening, they are complaining. So that's their thought process, is everything is wrong. Their feelings are equally negative and positive. So their personality is then, Peter is quite a negative person. Let's call him. Why? Because his feelings, his thoughts, and his behaviors have created his personal reality, which for him is the world is a terrible place and bad things happen. So, listeners, do you see how with that single thought you create your personal reality? Because it leads to a feeling, which leads to a behavior. Those behavior, thoughts, feelings, and behavior create your personality. You're optimistic, you're pessimistic, you're happy-go-lucky, and that creates your personal reality. And that's kind of important, don't you think? Because my personal reality is the space in which I work and live. It is the way in which I make sense of the world, of everyday life. So I think you would agree with me that it's very important that we look at what we focus on, what we think. So if, like my imaginary Peter, it's always negative and it's always what's wrong with the world, then that becomes my experience. But how can we change that? Now, let me put it to you this way, and here again I draw on Dr. Joe Dispenza, who says, where your focus goes, your energy flows. Now, energy can't be destroyed. So if I am focusing on what is wrong with the world, that means my energy is being put into, directed at what's wrong with the world. And that is creating my personal reality of, oh, woe is me, the world is a terrible place, and we're all just going down the plug hole. And that can be changed. And here it comes to those bad days where, and we all have them, let's be honest, those days where you wake up or something happens or you cut off in the traffic, and there it goes. You are triggered, you are incensed, you hate the driver that's just cut you off, and all your hatred and anger is directed at that. You're in a mood, you walk into the office, you are smoke coming out of your ears. Your colleague is saying, oh dear, stay away from Lee today. You can just see she's in a mood. My personal reality is life sucks. Everyone's rude. Nobody's got any manners. So again, where your thoughts go, where your focus is, your energy goes. And where your energy flows, you are creating your reality. So it starts with a thought. A thought leads to a feeling. A feeling leads to your behavior. Your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings create your personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. And that's what I say. If you think about those people that are always happy and positive, and somehow, let's face it, good things happen to them. My late brother was the same. No matter what happened, he always saw the silver lining. Don't worry about it. It'll sort itself out. And it always did. And it started with his thoughts of, so that went wrong. Never mind, we'll find a solution. And so his focus was on, there is a solution. His energy went into, there is a solution. And what did he create? Solutions. His personal reality was, life is great. There's nothing that cannot be overcome, and there are always solutions. So if you follow me thus far, you will realize how important it is to focus and to become aware of what you're thinking about, because it will create, down the line in the steps I've explained, your personal reality. So do you see now that your thoughts, feelings, actions create your personality, which creates your personal reality? So perhaps if you have a couple of good friends, you can say to them and explain, look, I'm not looking for flattering, and I'm also not looking for take a pot shot at Lee. I just want to ask you, how do you see me? How would you describe my personality to a stranger who does not know me? And perhaps get a feel of how people see you, and whatever's fed back to you, don't take offense. Take it as a learning opportunity and perhaps a recalibration, and say, well, if people see me as moody, or you're not quite sure which mood she's going to be in today or how she's going to respond, then it is indicative that your thoughts and your focus and your personal reality is not consistent with what perhaps you would like it to be. So, as I said, the opposite also applies. You have people who are positive, who see the positive, who speak positively, who act positively. They're proactive, they get into it, and they have good outcomes. They're happy people. They go through life with a smile. They go through life with nothing can get me down, because their focus is on the positive, and that is where their energy flows. And energy cannot be destroyed. Now, coming back to the tough days, next time you experience a tough day, ask yourself, what am I focusing on? Because that is where my energy is going, and that is where I'm creating my reality. Okay? So remember, energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be altered. So now, steer your focus onto something that is positive, something that brings you joy. Think of the things that are going well for you. And that means if you focus on that, your energy will flow to those things. And you will experience a real change in how you are experiencing that day, how you're experiencing yourself, and how you are experiencing what is happening around you. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Thoughts become things, choose the good ones. Those are Dr. Joe Dispenza and Mike Dooley's favorite quotes, or certainly some of their favorite quotes. The credit goes to them. I have read them both extensively. I really like what they say. I have applied it in my own life. And if you can remember that, and if you can change your focus from what is going wrong to what is actually going right, however small that is, you change your life around, because nothing, dear listeners, nothing changes till your thinking changes. It all starts with what you are thinking. If it's positive, positive things will come your way, because like attracts like. That energy will attract positiveness. The same thing, if you are negative and is always expecting the worst and always saying, well, I'm sure it's not going to work out, and then it doesn't work out, and then you say, there you go, there's the evidence of it. You've attracted it, you've created it, because energy is creative. It cannot be destroyed, it can just be altered. So bring joy into your world with positive thoughts and an optimistic outlook. And I know, dear listeners, this is Easier said than done. But like anything, it takes practice. When you started riding a bicycle or driving a car or playing the piano, you didn't just sit down one day and play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. You practice and practice and practice till you can do it with ease. And it's the same with your thinking. Start replacing negative thinking with positive thoughts and stick with it. Be aware of your thinking. Be aware of where your focus is directed at, because that's where your energy is going. And if it is always directed at the negative, it's like a big black hole that's just sucking the energy out of you and leaving you quite deflated and feeling, well, deflated and like that balloon that has been let down. So gentle readers, become aware of where your focus is. Become aware that energy is creating. And if your focus is on positive things, on what can go right, on the things that bring me joy, then you are creating accordingly. So become aware of the fact that you're a creator, you're not a victim. Become aware of the fact that you can change your life by changing your thinking. And I think I've shared the quote with you before where, and I'm not sure who penned this quote, that said, people want to change everything, their relationships, their jobs, their economic situation, their whatever, but they're not prepared to change their thinking, and therefore they remain prisoners of their circumstances. So don't underestimate the power of your thoughts. Don't underestimate the power of positive thoughts and pushing your energy into positive thinking and positive things that bring you joy. The negative things, let them go. Let it be. And remember, the things we cannot control, it really is pointless worrying about it and chewing on it. And, like the cow chewing the cud, ruminating about it and percolating on all that's ill with the world. Focus on your little world, your home, your family, and make sure that that is viewed and couched in positive thoughts and positive terms, and see how that changes. And as I said, it will take time, it will take practice, it will take determination. As I say, like whether it is getting fit, losing weight, playing a musical instrument, whatever skill it is you want to, it takes time and practice, and this is no different. So don't expect an overnight success. Now, well, what Lee's talking about is not working. Give it a good crack. And if you have problems, contact me. I'm here to help. And so I wish you a very positive day with positive thinking, directed only at positive outcomes. And as I say, if you are battling with it, please contact me. It would be my privilege. But in the meantime, enjoy an end of weekend. Lots of news that's being dissected that we can lean into and hopefully find the humor and the positiveness in it. And with that, I wish you a very, very happy Thursday. And thank you for tuning in. And thank you to our wonderful host, Ryan Mutley.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.